Hi everyone, welcome to day 7, I believe. Okay, get closer to the mic. Hi everyone, welcome to day 7. So what happened today is I didn't do a test recording. So usually I make sure that everything is working by doing a quick test recording. I listen to it, I look at it, make sure everything's working, and today I didn't do that. Which is of course also the day that my microphone just randomly stopped working. It just like didn't record anything. So I've got here is the first 10 minutes of the 30 or so minutes of stuff I recorded today, and I'm just going to do a second voiceover. And you can't see what my face was doing during the original recording because I just haven't moved where my face is, so it's just overlapping. So if I move this, you can see two of me. Yeah, but back. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is just getting everything set up. And I've decided here to get rid of half of the level, as I explained last time. And so what I'm doing here is I'm backing the previous version up, just in case. And then we're just going to use, so we'll see. I start with Blender a little bit here, but yeah, you don't want to delete everything. You want to delete only the parts you want to delete. So we're doing that here. Yep, double click, double checking that's yeah. Cool. So we got just this collection. And now we should see, I save it, because you need to save it for Blender to recognize that you've made a change. And here we go again. Beginner. And then what basically is going to happen is I'm going to have two overlapping assets, and I'm just going to get rid of the one with the more stuff on it that I want to cut. Yeah, so check, level, I should just delete that, and then you'll see that half of the level is gone, and then I'm just going to make a couple adjustments to sort of adequately prepare for the level being a little bit different. And you can see that I probably should have, probably should have put it into a bigger folder or something, but I didn't, so we're just going to have to adjust a bunch of things individually. And like I was talking yesterday in my video that, I mean, almost none of you watched probably because I didn't tag it because it wasn't directly Godot related, but basically my video production process has become somewhat inefficient, and you can see it also in my game development process of like, I'm gonna have to move all of those triggers that were just, tagged to a specific area and weren't given a hierarchy or anything. When I start making more stuff, I'm probably gonna use more Godot and less Blender, because I thought that Godot was not as good at 3D modeling or stuff, which is not, but because everything is made in this engine and not... Okay, so that looks like I'm making things bigger or smaller. What I'm actually doing is moving it back and forth, and I figured that out. Reset the position. This is going to be a little bit just sort of tweaking. It's not that interesting, so I'm going to explain that probably what I'm going to do moving forward is use Godot itself for more of my level layout than I've been using Blender, just because I haven't figured out good ways to communicate between Blender and Godot. So, like for example, I don't know how to make it auto-generate stuff from my Blender file if I like label it in a specific way. So if I figure that out, I'll probably switch back to this workflow. But likely, I just want to stick with making stuff in Godot for now. And so this should be more or less set up. So what I'm doing here is I'm resetting the respawn point to the new size and shape of it's the new size and shape of a level. And so because there's no like previous level that I'm playtesting, there's just one level, I can just reset my position to exactly where the cube is right now, which is what I'm doing. So it was indented because of the if statement. It doesn't need to be indented. Oh my gosh. I didn't have to actually go back and forth because the tab was just right there. Okay, whatever. There's a lot of inefficiencies in my workflow. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, I test the game now, and yep, everything works as it should. And I'm just making sure the level's still completable and testing all that stuff. I think the video looks worse than it did originally, but okay. And now we have an interesting problem. Actually, pause the video. This is your homework, and by which I mean you'll find out in about 2 minutes what the answer is. But this is an interesting question that you should definitely know to solve, because you will run into this issue if you use Godot and Blender together. And so, what do you think happened here? Leave it in the comments. Also, like and subscribe and all that. I know no one likes getting reminded to do those things, but engagement is good. I would like some of it. Anyway, so what happened here, and I'll figure this out in the original thing in a second, is that basically my shape was inside out. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out how to get... what am I doing here? Okay, so I'm trying to fix it in Godot, and that's not going to work. You know what? We're just gonna skip ahead a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm realizing that my spacebar is not very good, so I'm also letting the X button activate the jump input. Yeah, so you can see there, I actually managed it because my inputs are better, and I've run into the same issue. Okay, let's see if I figure this out quickly. I think I do. Yep, so I'm stuck in here. And, let's see what, yeah, okay, so Blender. What we're looking for is inverted normals, and I'm going to click that right here. Yep, face orientation. And then just, well, I think I Google how to do this, but it's pretty straightforward to fix. Yep. Oh yeah, and then, actually I should probably pause and make sure you guys explain how this works. Basically, anything that's blue on screen, that's good. It's fine. It's got normals. So a normal is... Oh gosh, I'm going to have to go into Blender and explain this. Okay, so basically, a normal is... That's just where each part of this is facing, right? So... And so what an inverted normal is let's say I've got... That's horrible. Let's say I've got a cube, right? And my game engine, for reasons I won't get too far into, needs to know if the cube thinks this way, if it's facing out, or if it's facing sort of towards its own center. And this one's what you want. Like, you want this. That's a normal. That's pointing outward. This, when it's pointing inward, that's called a flip normal. And so you'll have this interesting behavior where in Godot walls are one way, right? So you can, if you can't get through them, right? If this is the top, right? You can't go through them, but if you're outside, you can go back in, right? So this doesn't work. You can't go through them, but if you're here outside, you can go through them. Like this is sort of, if you go out of bounds, you can get back out. But what this thing was doing, and we'll go back to the VOD here. Find it. What this thing is doing is it's doing the opposite of what you want it to do. So you can't bump into it because it thinks that the faces that are facing out are sort of back faces, which means that it wants to let you in, but it doesn't want to let you back out. Where if I wound up like stuck in one of these cubes here somehow, I would want to be able to get back out. And so Godot lets you do that. You can just walk out because the collision only works from one side. But on this cube, the collision works from the wrong side, and so I can get in, but I can't get out. And if you watched, I think episode 6, I had a similar issue when I was the big cube. I couldn't figure out why that was. This is why that is. And so we'll see that I'm just going to do what Google said. Select, yeah, okay, so I need the Z. So what Z does is it chooses wireframe mode, and that means you can see things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to see, which means you can select them easier. Normal is flip, and then I need to get out of that mode by pressing Z again, and you can see that it's blue again. And you might be wondering why this slide is purple, and that's because the normals there are a little bit fucked up. But for right now, it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, this is another issue that I talked about in the original recording. Because the logic for how falling off level and respawning works is still based on just like if it's below a certain value. Right now, you fall way too far from the fall. I don't think you should fall that far. And so I'm going to fix that later in probably tomorrow's episode. This is the 30-minute recording, and then I'm doing each 10-minute recording into like one episode. So in this episode or the next, you'll see how I fix this. But for now, it's just it's not wrong. It works, and in fact, earlier in this clip, I lifted the level up to sort of compensate because if you look at the Blender file, you can see that here's where you start, here's where you end, right? So if I have a floor here, then if you fall off here, you're going to fall a long way. But if you fall off here, you're not going to fall so far. And so the solution to that is, and I actually learned this technique from someone breaking it. There's a Fallout speedrun that explained it as basically there's sort of the floor here, and then there's the bigger floor here. So what's supposed to happen, and then like basically you'll have a floor here, so if you fall here, you'll go through this floor, you'll respawn here, right? But if you somehow miss that floor, you'll hit this second floor and still respawn here. Then that's what I'm going to wind up doing. And the reason that I have to do that rather than just say, okay, if you fall here, we respawn you, and instead of having a box, it's just defined in code as basically if the cube's y is ever less than 2, it just respawns. And the reason that doesn't work is because this level has a variety of heights you can fall from, and I want to be able to control exactly how far you fall, because you don't want to be falling for 30 seconds. You don't want to be falling for like 10 seconds, and we'll see me experimenting with that in later episodes. Back to recording. Yep. Okay. So. Yep, I'm using this X button and it's working a little better. Also, I promise my game feels better to play than this implies. It's basically it was running at 60 and then recorded at 30, so we're missing some frames here. I'm sure I don't want to record it at 60 though, because when I play, like on certain laptops, 60 frames per second, like if you have a slow computer, you'll end up getting less than 30 because it's trying to render twice as many frames, and that takes more processing, so it just doesn't work so well. Yeah, so what's happening here is because this guy's collision is now correct, we're sort of bumping off of it, and so what's happening is, and this file I've adjusted it, but it used to be further away, and so what happened is you just like go here and then just go here, like you bump off of it. Alright, so this is the goal. We want people to be able to reach the goal, and so what's happening here is a little suboptimal. We'll fix it, don't worry about it. And then I think I just basically cut to about 10 minutes because that was about the video I wanted to have, so I think this is just going to end abruptly. We'll see. Yep. And here I am trying to fix it. And let's see. Okay, yeah, as I said, it ends abruptly. And that's part 1. Thanks for watching. I've got 2 more episodes in this style, so if you've watched previous ones of my videos, please let me know if you like this style more or less. I think that the quality that I'm getting here is much higher than sort of a live commentary, but it takes more than twice as long to make, so it's, you know, I want that, I want it to be worth it, basically, to spend twice as much time on any given video. Alright, thanks so much, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm uploading a video about Godot every day for the next 28 days or so, and then after that we'll see. So join me tomorrow, next day, that sort of thing, and we'll keep going.